Good morning, everyone. Child advocates, including a mother who lost her son to cyberbullying and a college student who said she was addicted to social media, are calling on Congress to take action to protect children online. Last week, the Senate Judiciary Committee listened to their testimony as it considers the first legislation to regulate social media platforms in decades. Dina Demetrius has the very latest.
Kristen Bride took on social media companies after her 16-year-old son Carson took his own life in June of 2020. The Oregon mother said she had no idea her son had been relentlessly cyberbullied by anonymous tormentors.
After his death, we discovered that Carson had received nearly 100 negative, harassing, sexually explicit, and humiliating messages.
Bride was unsuccessful in her lawsuit against at least 2 social media companies. She's urging Congress to take action.
We need lawmakers to step up, put politics aside, and finally protect all children online.
Kids face a variety of online dangers, including anxiety, depression, eating disorders, financial and sexual exploitation.
The predators are winning, our children are not safe, and those who are fiercely committed to protecting them are drowning.
College student Emma Lebke told senators she became addicted to online apps in the 6th grade.
As my screen time increased, my mental and physical health suffered.
Lemke implored lawmakers to include young people in the conversation as it considers bipartisan legislation to keep kids safe online.
Unregulated social media is a weapon of mass destruction that continues to jeopardize the safety, privacy, and well-being of all American youth. It's time to act.
There hasn't been any meaningful federal legislation to regulate the internet for 25 years, before most of the platforms kids use today even existed.
Like we do in the real world, we need to protect our kids in the virtual world.
So far, only 5 states, California, Utah, Colorado, Virginia, and Connecticut, have passed internet privacy laws. Dina Demetrius, CBS News.
And the former commander of the New Jersey State Police's Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force told senators that law enforcement doesn't have the resources it needs to investigate hundreds of thousands of new cases every year. Well, suicide is the second leading cause of death for people ages 5 to 24 years old in the United States. Now, new research is suggesting there were more deaths by suicide in young people than expected during the COVID-19 pandemic. Bradley Blackburn has more on that.
Lockdowns and school shutdowns during the first year of the pandemic left many young people feeling depressed, anxious, and isolated. Now, new research in the journal Pediatrics finds youth suicide rates increased in 2020. More than 5,500 youth died by suicide. 79% were male and 50% died by firearm.
That really highlights the need for safe storage of firearms in the home. If you're a parent and you own guns, storing them safely is paramount to reducing risk for suicide.
Dr. Jeff Bridge is the director of the Center for Suicide Prevention at Nationwide Children's Hospital. He authored the study that also found more suicides during the pandemic compared to before among non-Hispanic American, Indian, Alaskan Native youth and Black youth.
We really need to tailor our suicide prevention strategies through a culturally informed lens.
Researchers stress suicide is preventable if those interventions can get to the young people most in need, both at school and at home.
There are several school-based suicide prevention programs. It is okay to ask your child if they're thinking about suicide. That will not put the thought in your child's head. There is very strong evidence that refutes that notion. Have that conversation.
Dr. Bridge says we need to have those mental health conversations with our children because it is just as important as their physical health. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Researchers also highlighted the higher than expected suicide rate among non-Hispanic, Asian, or Pacific Islander females as a cause for concern as well, because this is a group of young people that usually has a very low rate of suicide. Now, on to some consumer headlines. After 2 straight months of decline, consumer prices rose more than expected in January. The Consumer Price Index measures the change in how much we pay for products every month. Inflation jumped 0.5% last month to an annual rate of 6.4%. One of the key reasons why inflation remains stubbornly high are items like auto insurance, up nearly 15% over last year. Here's CBS's Manuel Bojorquez with more on that.
Juan Maroso says the cost of insuring his Tesla in Miami gave him a whole new kind of sticker shock.
My original insurance was $2,400 for 6 months, and it went up to $4,000.
A nearly 70% jump.
It's one more thing to add to the list, honestly, but it hurts. It definitely hurts.
A new report by Bankrate.com found nationwide premiums have risen more than $240 on average, topping $2,000 a year. Florida drivers saw the biggest jump, up nearly twice that amount to almost $3,200 a year. Bankrate insurance editor Kate DeVenter.
There's a lot of residents in Florida and the population is growing. Then we also see a lot of tourists, which then of course add to those busy roadways, and that makes it even more likely that an accident is going to happen.
High costs for repair parts, labor, and medical care are driving insurance rates up across the board.
Good morning, Great Florida. How may I help you?
Customers are calling agencies like Great Florida for cheaper policies. Ana Karina Callejas is an agent here.
Sometimes I got lucky and we will be able to find something, and sometimes we don't.
She was able to find Juan Maroso a policy that is $800 below the $4,000 he was quoted. But she says rates likely will continue to climb.
You think it will get worse before it gets better?
100%.
Really?
Yeah, I think we're not going to see positive changes maybe for like a year or two.
You mean rates going down?
Right.
So what can drivers do? Always shop around. Ask your agent if you're getting every available discount. Consider a cheaper or smaller car, but above all, drive safely. Those moving violations could definitely make your rates go even higher. Manuel Bojorquez, CBS News, Miami.
May have a high balance on your credit card, but you can pay off your debt. Maybrio Aber reports on how to take advantage of balance transfer deals in today's Money Matters.
Americans owe more on credit cards now than ever before. And by the end of last year, total credit card debt was at a record high, $930 billion. That's an 18% jump from the year before. And all of this is according to TransUnion. One way to help you pay off the debt, zero balance transfer offers. CNBC recently looked at how best to take advantage of what many see as a very useful tool in getting rid of credit card debt. With annual percentage rates around 20% right now, credit cards have become one of the most expensive ways to borrow money. And personal finance experts say moving that big balance to a card with either a no interest or low interest balance transfer offer can help you break the debt cycle. But you have to know how to use a zero balance offer. You want to pay off that balance you're transferring during that initial period of no interest, and try to pay it off aggressively. If you don't pay off, any remaining balance could have a new sky-high annual percentage rate applied to it. And read the offer carefully for conditions like the need to make payments on time. Sometimes one late payment can negate your no interest offer. For more on making the most of a zero interest balance transfer offer, check out the full story at CNBC.com.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The restaurant business can be tough, and the pandemic hit the industry particularly hard. But as Michael George shows us, some social media influencers are now using their platform to support small restaurants.
Amrit Paul Singh came to New York from India to start his own restaurant. He named it Angel after his daughter. But just 6 months after opening, the pandemic shut down the city.
COVID was very tough for you.
Yes, very tough. Sometime I came here, I don't get any single customer here, and I go home back.
But recently, he got a boost from an unexpected place, social media.
Angel Indian restaurant rightly became known for their biryani, but the Adaraki lamb might be our favorite dish here.
Cy Willis and Lauren McGill are food influencers. Their channel, Consuming Couple, has more than 400,000 followers on TikTok. They like to highlight smaller, lesser-known spots, like Angel.
How do you find these places?
Yeah, really just diving into the research. I like going down a few rabbit holes and just seeing what we can find.
We like to try new stuff, and we don't want to get stuck in our own little bubble.
Just one post from Consuming Couple brought in crowds of new customers.
They actually help me a lot here. I get maybe 100 customers here. They tell me I see your video in Instagram also and TikTok also.
My dish, it's gotta be torched on fire tableside.
Nom Life, an LA-based food blog with 300,000 followers, also encourages viewers to try hidden gems in their community.
So for us, it's really always been really passionate about highlighting local restaurants and businesses.
You just have to get out there and try. Like sometimes you're gonna like it, sometimes you're not, sometimes you'll love it, but it's all part of the experience.
Giving their followers a taste of something new while giving restaurants a helping hand. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
A marketing industry survey found 62% of consumers say they're more likely to try something if it's recommended by an influencer that they follow. All right, as many as 60 million people suffer from seasonal allergies in the United States, and health experts say you can limit symptoms before they even start. Mandy Gaither has more on what an allergist says you should be doing right now to protect yourself.
Winter's not even over yet, but spring may already be in the air. Health experts say now is the time to start protecting against seasonal allergies.
Really starting to block inflammation now can help not only at the start of symptoms, but also kind of make it a better season overall.
Allergist Flavia Hoyt with National Jewish Health recommends a steroid nasal spray. There are some over the counter, but Hoyt says to make sure it's a nasal steroid. Check with your doctor if you're unsure.
Using that, 2 sprays per nostril on a daily basis helps kind of minimize the inflammation. It takes a couple weeks to build up in your system, and then when the pollen really comes full force, you're ready to fight it.
Hoyt says other over-the-counter therapies like antihistamines, whether it's a pill or a nasal spray, may help too, as well as nasal irrigation devices like a neti pot.
Those can be started closer to the allergy season, but the nasal steroids we really say to start around this time of year.
Hoyt says now is also the time to think about keeping the outside environment from getting inside your home. That means when it starts warming up, keeping windows closed in both your car and at home, and making sure pets don't bring pollen into your bed.
The pollen starts floating around before you see the leaves on the trees, and so it can catch people off guard.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
And the CDC says climate change could add to allergy woes, potentially leading to higher pollen concentrations and longer pollen seasons. So, ever wonder why some dogs howl and others don't? A new study has some wild findings on how canine companions communicate. Tina Krause reports from London.
Howling is a basic instinct for wolves. But how popular is it with their domesticated descendants, like 8-year-old Siberian Husky Bizu? Hungarian researchers sniffed out the answer by bringing recordings of calls of the wild indoors. They tested nearly 70 family dogs from 28 different breeds in the first study to specifically investigate howling in domestic dogs.
The main finding was that the breed matters, actually.
The study found dogs genetically closer to wolves were more prone to howl, but only if the dog was 5 years or older.
Among younger dogs, there was no difference between the breeds.
Scientists say breeds that howl more also show more stress-related behaviors when listening to wolf wails.
Like yawning, shaking the body, licking the mouth, stretching the body.
While modern breeds reacted by barking. And barked more than dogs from older lineages. Researchers say while all dogs know how to howl, domesticating them has started to silence their sixth sense, leaving it to their wild ancestors to carry on the tradition. Tina Krause, CBS News.
All right, stay with us. Mid-morning, we'll return in just a moment. Sometimes love needs a little help, so one man asked for an entire room full of helpers. Here's how it all turned out.
Where do hearts meet? Hearts and sweets all around. What else are you doing for Valentine's Day? As the Selman preschool class shares love with classmates and teachers. But last Friday, these students helped ask the question that is a proclamation of love.
Letter parade, how natural for preschoolers. And then by the time the teacher came out with the W on her shirt, and I thought, will you? And it just hit me.
Pre-K through 8th grade principal at Solomon, Amber Ford, and Eric Bloomquist are longtime friends who fell in love.
Grew into a relationship from supporting each other through some tough situations, and then it kind of just grew from there. So a true friendship first.
It was completely unexpected.
And for a while now, Eric's been thinking about popping that question.
I'd asked Amber, and admittedly, jokingly a couple times, to marry me. And she said, "You're not serious, you got to do better than that. I never even had a ring."
Last November, he got the ring and started planning.
I know in marrying Amber, I'm marrying a school.
This is Amber's 25th year in education, but also her first year as principal.
Our world will be a better place because of these kids, and I just have faith in them. I do.
Eric took his proposal idea to the high school principal, who in secret worked with the preschool class and others in the district to pull this off.
Made sure everything happened and said, just show up on Friday. So that's what I did.
On the stage with the preschool class in shirts, in mostly the correct order, spelling out, "Amber, will you marry me?" Eric got down on one knee.
I didn't realize how loud the kids were till I watched the video back. They were hooping and hollering and all excited, and Eric gives his thumbs up like success, and it was a great moment.
As a wedding is in the future, Amber and Eric say these kids will be a part of that celebration.
One of my preschool friends came up right after school and put her hand on her hip, and she said, "You know, I expect an invitation."
Because this school is part of their family. In Solomon, Sean Logging, 12 News.
And now here's a story of how a heart transplant turned into a love connection for two young patients. Jan Crawford reports that the heart wants what it wants.
Theirs is the most improbable of love stories.
There were really no romantic sparks at first because we were both miserable.
Taylor Givens and Colin Cabellia had just received heart transplants in the same Virginia hospital on the same day, recovering in neighboring rooms.
I just didn't want to really talk about what I went through.
Fast forward 5 years, they reconnected on the anniversary of their heart transplants.
I definitely felt a spark, and I wasn't expecting that at all.
But the heart works in mysterious ways.
We went to dinner, we caught up. It was cute because we had to take our medicine at the same time.
It was great to start dating someone who you didn't have to explain anything to.
They married in 2019.
And it just was very exciting to know we have a normal life and the things that we want aren't unobtainable, and that was a really special feeling.
The couple has since dealt with some serious health challenges, and no more are ahead.
Having him beside me, I'm not as afraid of things, even things like my mortality.
You know, we both been through essentially one of the worst experiences you can go through in life. It definitely feels like anything else life throws at us we can handle.
Together, a special love from the heart. Jan Crawford, CBS News, Washington.
All right, we'll be back right after this. Stay with us. New artifacts are giving researchers a better understanding of the life and legacy of abolitionist Harriet Tubman. Kate Amara has more from Church Creek, Maryland.
And then something red, something blue, all those pieces were there. And I thought to myself, we have found Africa on the eastern shore of Maryland.
Another major discovery on the property where abolitionist Harriet Tubman was born more than 200 years ago. Governor Wes Moore headlined the announcement.
Today really is a wonderful discovery and a celebration of what makes our state so special, what makes our state so unique.
A home where enslaved people lived, found during an archaeological dig on the 1,000-acre Thompson farm. Dr. Julie Shablitsky is MDOT's chief archaeologist and leader of the team dedicated to finding the homes of Anthony Thompson's enslaved people.
And something spectacular popped out at us. It was a 20-foot by 40-foot building in the ground in the middle of a farm field in the middle of nowhere.
Nearly 2 years of digging unearthed a brick foundation, a fireplace, broken ceramic shards, pieces of pipe and teacups. And then at the home site of Tubman's father, Ben Ross, on the Blackwater National Wildlife Refuge.
This cache of artifacts, and I almost gasped because I thought to myself, could this be a West African spirit cache? Something that tied the people who lived here back to Africa. I saw this really beautiful glass heart-shaped perfume stopper. So usually you need the glass, which would capture or reflect the spirit. sometimes a round button, which maybe we could communicate the cosmograms, the sky, sometimes even these metal nails that were forged in heat that had the power of Ogun, a West African deity.
The dig unearthing artifacts and layers of meaning for the archaeological team that includes Tubman's descendants.
This physical evidence gives me an idea of how my family of ancestors experienced life in bondage.
Their past directly informs my present.
All right, stay with us. We'll be right back to wrap things up. All right, be sure you stay connected with us. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll see you back here next time. Have a great day.